I hope you all enjoyed your coffee. We have a little bit more to go. We have now 3 more presentations, after which we will have another coffee break and then one last presentation after the next coffee break. But without further ado, let me introduce the new presentation. So the city is a social, physical, digital ecosystem, and the speaker is is a program manager, digital city at the Municipality of Rotterdam. Let's welcome Roland van der Heijden.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome here to my presentation at this moment, the first after the coffee break. I don't know if I can get my sheets. We'll start my introduction first. My name is Roland van der Heijden. I'm a program manager for the Digital City program in Rotterdam, a program in which we try to discover how we see the city is changing. We think the city is in transformation, and I would like to take you along this story about how we think of Rotterdam, what this transformation is all about. But I'm still waiting for my slides here. So I try to kill the time a bit, but hope. Oh, no, not. Oh. I hope you all enjoyed the day so far. Yeah, what are we going to talk about now? Maybe we could do a little game or something, I don't know. Does anybody know where Rotterdam is? In which country Rotterdam, yeah? Okay. Okay.
Tell us a joke about Dutch, Germans, and
Now we can say it's a Belgian joke about Dutch, and they say always, because the Dutch are very, how you say, keen on money and saving money, etc. How they invented the coin, of how they invented the copper wire by pulling on a coin, and then it something like that. But
No.
There's some security issue with my presentation, I understand. Sorry? Maybe very secret here.
I'm sorry for the inconveniences. We're seeming to have a couple of malfunctions with the laptop, but we're trying to get it solved quickly.
I can get my own laptop if that will help, but...
Yep. But you don't do stand-up, don't you? Maybe you can do a little stand-up routine?
The stand-up routine?
Oh, no. Oh, wait, you're standing up already. Oh, good one.
Maybe
Yes. Maybe for like good pictures or something. But yeah, we're very sorry about... well, now we know who he is.
Maybe, yeah, that's me.
You want to use this slide?
This one.
Oh, this one.
Okay.
Perfect, we have it now.
Yeah, I already give you my introduction, and as I said also here, we see that the reality of the city is changing, and we are in a very big transformation as we think that we are, and the city is shifting into a social, physical, digital ecosystem, as we call it. And that's what I want to take you along with. Oh, okay. It doesn't work completely as I thought it would be, because this slide should be building up, but it's already completely there. Okay, now I will try to tell the story a bit the same. The story always starts with what we call, you should look at the left side of the sheet now. It starts always with what we call the social reality. And social reality stands for us people. The way we behave, the way we interact with each other, the way we communicate, everything that we people do, and how we live, it's captivated by what we call the social reality. But we're of course physical beings. We're always somewhere. There's a physical world around us, and that physical world is constantly influencing the way we people behave and feel. For a simple example, we talk differently at the church than we're at the marketplace. So that physical surrounding is doing something to us and how we feel. And it's always also the other way around. We constantly shape that physical world around us in the way that we want it to be. So there's constantly dynamics going on between that physical and the social reality, as we call it. And in the context of the city, you could call that what we call traditional city. This is the way we shaped our cities for centuries. We people and the physical world around us and the dynamics between that. But now we see something completely new rising here. And that's what we call the digital reality. It's the last 30, 40 years since the computers coming on, this world is becoming more and more grown up and more a reality on its own. With computers talking to each other, etc. But for a lot of people, this digital reality is not a real reality. For them, the world is still a social, physical one, and they still have the attention to define the challenges that we're as a city facing in a traditional, social, physical way. And then when we come to a solution, then somebody puts up his finger and say, hey, I have some digital tool that we can use to calculate some scenarios for the possible solutions that we're facing here. And for some other people, that digital world it's a world, it's a reality, but then mainly a parallel reality, something that stands next to our world that we live in, and there we have that digital parallel world that most of the time constantly drop things into our world that we know and disturbing that world that we know. Recently we had ChatGPT, and we can give a lot of examples of that. Constantly coming out of that digital world into ours and disturbing everything. Now, we think that those both ways of thinking, as well seeing digital as an instrument, as well seeing digital as a parallel world, are no longer to behold. We really believe that we are going to what we call a social, physical, digital city, in which all those three realities are completely connected, intertwined with each other, and people are moving fluidly from the digital world, a physical world, and every hybrid form in between. And that's what we call the digital urban community. So we really believe that the digital is shifting towards a digital urban community. And that's for us is really a very big systemic change. We think that all things that we as people have created for that traditional social physical world, education, health, economics, finance, you can mention every system that we as people have created. We have created that for the traditional social physical world. And all those systems need to go to that transformation towards that social, physical, digital world. And when you talk about that new social, physical, digital world, then we also are talking about how are people connected in that new social, physical, digital world. And then we are talking about the social infrastructures, the physical infrastructures, and the digital infrastructures of our city. Now, the social infrastructures we're all quite familiar with, and the physical infrastructures also, that are the roads in our city. But when we talk about the digital infrastructure, then everybody think, whoa, what's that? And what kind of role do we have? And do we have a role in that? And can we just leave it up to the big tech? Because they know what we're talking about. And we as a municipality, we doesn't have a clue what it's all about. Now, we think, of course, that it's very important that we as a government think about what kind of role do we have in the digital infrastructure for the city. And we now, as Rotterdam, are developing what we call an open urban platform, what we really see as a centerpiece of the digital infrastructure. And we developed that through the digital twin concept. So that open urban platform is for us really the centerpiece for the new digital infrastructure of the city. Of the city, not of the municipality. Oh, it's also there at once. Okay. This is what should be the same. It should also build up, but it's already there. when we talk about that open urban platform and we talk about the role that we as a government have in that, then you could think about the possible solutions that are out there. And if we look at the current situation, at least in Holland, but I think it's in Estonia quite the same, is that we mostly are on the left side of the screen. Our digital infrastructure at this moment is mainly shaped by the private companies. So the Googles, the Microsoft of this world, those are the ones who are creating our digital infrastructure at this moment. So that's one end of the spectrum. Completely private parties that are creating and maintaining and exploiting that infrastructure that we're all using. To give you an example, at this moment in Holland, also here I think in Estonia, it's all private. You start up your laptop and you accept the Microsoft conditions. And then you go to Google to search something, and then you have to accept the cookies from Google. And then you go to a website that you found through Google, and then you have to accept the cookies there. Or in other words, you're going from private surroundings to private surroundings to private surroundings to private surroundings. And every time the private party who's owning that surroundings is creating the conditions under which you can use that infrastructure. The other end of the spectrum, of course, we also see that is a 100% public-owned infrastructure. You could find examples in China or in Russia or other countries. But for us, the main question for us was, where are we on that spectrum? Are we 100% private? Are we 100% public? Or do we find something in between there? And where and what and how? We did a lot of research for that. And we came in the end with a governance structure that we think is suitable for this. And that's all based on what we call trust. We found out that in research that if you want to build up an ecosystem, if you want to build up such an infrastructure, and if you want that to be used within your ecosystem, then there needs to be trust. There needs to be trust between all participants in your ecosystem, and there needs to be trust about the used infrastructure in your ecosystem. If that trust isn't there, then it won't be used. So everything that we do is always through the glass of trust. Does it contribute to trust or does it demolish the trust? Now, and for there, we also found out, the same research, that a lot of stakeholders say, yeah, but so open urban platform is the municipality is going to develop that. We don't trust it. We don't believe that will be a good and reliable platform. So we have much more trust if private parties are doing the exploitation of that platform, that they build it and they exploit it. Now, okay, that's what we chose. So far, you could say we are on the left side of the screen. Private parties are building the infrastructure. But at the same research, it showed that when we're talking about all that kind of things of ethics and privacy and transparency and all those things, then we see that those same stakeholders have more trust in the government. So that's the role that we took up. So we have an open urban platform that will be privately built and exploited, but there will be public supervision on that platform. That's what we are creating now in the form of a governance board. So the governance board is a form of, how you say, to look upon what we call the responsible exploitation of the platform. And that governance board is mainly to see upon what we call the gray area. And the gray area is that area in which we see that rules and regulations are not there yet, are falling short or whatever, but we see in digital, and digital has a high volume of transformation, and we see that the rules and regulations cannot keep up with that pace. And that means that there's always be a gray area. And in the gray area, a lot of that big tech companies have the attitude, okay, if there are no rules, then everything's allowed. And we think differently as a municipality. We think that also in that gray area, you should be responsible about what you're doing there and with the data that you're using there. So that's where the governance board is mainly aimed to have its role. And the governance board will have 5 members. one from the municipality, one from the exploitant, one for the companies, one from the knowledge institutes, and one for the citizens as representative. And the main goal is to look upon, as I said, responsible exploitation. And that also includes level playing field for companies. Because, as I said, we have a private company that's building that infrastructure. But that doesn't mean that the same company should also build all the cars using that infrastructure. That's where we want to invite all kinds of other companies to take part of the whole ecosystem. But they need to have the feel that they have the same chances as the company that's building the infrastructure. And if they doubt that, then they can also go to the governance board and lay out the situation there and let them decide on it. And that governance board has the possibility to make binding decisions. So if they decide something, then every party within the ecosystem, including the exploitant of the platform, need to follow up on that advice. And also the governance board is independent. Now, that's a bit about the governance of that Open Urban platform. But what is the Open Urban platform? The Open Urban platform is that not in that infrastructure, as I said, the central piece of that infrastructure. But why should you use it? Why should you use this Open Urban platform for your business or for whatever that you want to do there? Now, that's why we introduced the concept of the digital twin. It's all about digital twinning, so this is not quite unfamiliar for you. But we believe that by using the digital twin concept as a data concept for the Open Urban platform, it gives direction, it gives meaning to that Open Urban platform, and it also shows why you should go there. Because when you find the digital twin of Rotterdam interesting, then you should go to the Open Urban platform. But then, what is a digital twin? Now, I think that you've heard today already quite some definitions. There are even a lot more out there. But in Rotterdam, we use our own, as I think everybody will use his own. But for us, a digital twin is what we call, starts with what we call a smart 3D model of the city. Now, I already mentioned also the previous speaker was all talking about 3D modeling, etc. In Rotterdam, we have a 3D model of the whole city. It's a smart model, as we call it. It's all objects, all houses, benches, waste bins, lampposts, cables and pipes in the underground. Everything that you can see in the city when you walk around, that is what we have in our 3D model as objects. And because we have it as objects, you can also ask questions to that model. And that makes it a smart model. So that smart model is describing the physical state of our city. And when you combine that description of the physical state of the city with data that describe the functioning of the city, so mainly real-time data, sensor data. So in this example, the waste bins in Rotterdam, we have all the underground waste bins have a sensor in it that tells us if that waste bin is full or not. So that's telling something about how those waste bins are functioning. The same you can do for streets. What's the air quality, or how many cars are driving through the streets, or is that lamp post burning, or whatever. So when you combine the description of the physical city, combine that with real-time data about the functioning of the city, then you get what, in our opinion, then you get a digital twin of the city. So for us, a digital twin, an urban local digital twin, is a common and shareable view on the current physical state of the city. And what's interesting is that in our definition, you find one thing that you won't find in most definitions, and you will not find one thing that you will find in most definitions. To start with the first, we have deliberately put a common and shareable view in our definition, because we don't believe in a single point of truth or that kind of stuff. And we really believe that the reality of the city is built up together with all the stakeholders in your city. Nobody has the complete truth or whatever. So everybody has a piece of it. And we need to bring that together to get a real picture of the reality of the city. So it's really important, as for us at least, to understand that the digital twin is a common and shareable view. It's commonly created. What you won't find in this definition, but will find in most definitions, is all the smart stuff that you can do with digital twinning. The predictive digital twinning, the scenario tooling, the I don't know whatever kind of smart stuff that you all can do with digital twins. And of course, we also believe that you can do all those smart stuff with digital twins. That's also why we are building it. But we see the digital twin as part of our infrastructure, not as a part of the solutions. So for us, a digital twin is a description of the physical state of the city and therefore a basis for all those kind of different applications and smart tools that you can build. Not just one, not for heat island distress, not for water modeling, not for mobility issues, whatever. But all at once the same. Now, as I said, we see the digital twin as a basis for all kind of smart applications and services. Now, here on this sheet, you see a number of examples that we're already, as a city, are working on as different applications, but they all use the same digital twin and open urban platform as underlying infrastructure. And I will discuss some of those applications that we've built to make it more concrete. The first of those applications is what we call the building permit check service. It's a tool that helps us to evaluate and judge building permits. So if somebody wants to build something in the city, they need to have a permit. And now it's a lot of paperwork. It costs weeks. It costs a lot of time and money. And we think that that process can be done much easier, faster, more transparent, cheaper, and also more democratic. And how? By using three different things, you could say. At first, of course, the digital twin of our city. That's the description of our current state of the city. And when you have that digital twin and that description of the current state, then you can put a new building, a new development in that digital twin. Mostly BIM modeling, I don't know if that's, but most of the time we see that new buildings by developers are made in BIM. And you can put that in your digital twin. And then you can make calculations. And that brings us to the third part that you need. You need to have smart regulations. So, for example, in our current zoning plans in Rotterdam, they're all paper. And then we type literally down, you can build up until 75 meters high here, for example. But when you have it as an algorithm, then you can use that rule to make smart calculations. So that's a bit the idea, to get our zoning plans all transformed into smart regulations and combine that with the digital twin, combine that with the data of a new development, and when you bring those three components together, then you have a completely different process for building permits that can be much faster. To give an example, one aspect is the distance from a new building towards the water points for fire, for the firemen if there's some kind of accident. That takes up until today, that takes approximately 3 weeks, up until 6 weeks to judge if a particular new building is correctly to the regulations of that fire water points. With this tool, it takes about 10 seconds for 15 seconds to do that. So 15 seconds compared to 3 to 6 weeks, it's quite a time, I would say, to win there. Is the video also working or not? Is this touchscreen? There should be a video there. But if it's not working, then I will just tell it. Another application that we're developing is what we call time and place independent participation, the co-creation in the digital city. Because we really believe that all those new digital means really can help citizens to better understand what the issues are and how they can help creating solutions for that particular issue. And that's why we developed this tool. And that already starts with offering the citizens, for example, for redesigning a square. That's where we did a lot of pilots for. Then it starts with offering those citizens the surroundings that they live in 3D. And it's already an enormous bonus, because all those citizens normally get 2D maps presented. And if you're not familiar with maps, then a 2D map is an abstraction. And what everybody does, if you're getting to some kind of evening where they're presenting new plans for your neighborhood, then the first thing everybody does is looking up, where am I living? Where's my house on this map? And in practice you see that people are still searching their house, and the presenter of the new plans is already at sheet 5 or 6. And he's lost his audience already just by the first step, starting with a 2D map. So really learn that 3D is very important there to offer to your citizens. Then 3D everybody can understand. So that's the first thing that we do. We offer a canvas in 3D, in this case with a square that needs to be redesigned, the houses around that square, and we invite the people who are living there. Now, they immediately see the surroundings, they understand the surroundings, and then they can go to redesign that. They can make their own design of that square. And they can put trees there, benches, I don't know, a swing. And then we use what we call gamification principles to guide those citizens through that design. To give you an example, you can put a swing or a bench there, but that costs money. So you will have budget restrictions. So at some time the budget is gone, is finished. Another thing is what you see. For example, people want to place a tree somewhere. Now, then the system gives back, you cannot put a tree here because there are pipes and cables in the underground, but you can put it 2 meters to the left or to the right. So that way we can really help citizens, guide them through the design and the possibilities and the impossibilities of that design. Now, then all citizens have made their design, and then they of course can judge each other's designs. And one step further, they can also go outside, as you can see on the pictures there. And with augmented reality and with their own phone, they can walk over the square and using the augmented reality to show the different designs there on the square on Real 1.1. Now, we really believe that this kind of development really helps citizens to understand much better what some kind of issues are that they are facing, and they really can participate much better in their own surroundings and helping to come up with solutions. A third application is what we call Safe Rotterdam 3D. This also should have a video, but it's not working quite well. And that's all about safety, of course, the word is already saying it. And at this moment, I don't know what the case in Tallinna is, but in Rotterdam, in Holland, the situation is that the firemen, if there is a fire in some kind of building, then the firemen, of course, are called and they come over. And on the way from where they are stationed to the place of the disaster, in that time frame, they need to make an attacking plan. To how are we going to deal with this disaster that we are encountering. And for that attacking plan, at this moment, they only have a 2D map of the ground floor or of the particular building that they are facing. Now, Rotterdam is a city with a lot of high-rise. So just having a 2D map of the ground floor of a particular building, that can even have 60 stores or something, is quite a little information. So we think, can that be done better? And that's why we created SAFE as an application. And in that application, we are combining different 3D elements together. So what we combine 3D outdoor with 3D indoor. We combine 3D above ground with 3D underground. And we combine 3D with real-time data about the surroundings of that particular place of incident. And when we bring that together, then we get this tool. And the video should show you a bit how that would look like, but now you need to have some kind of imagination, but I think it will work out. But at this moment, the firemen have, when they go to a fire, this will be operational in the beginning of next year. And then the firemen will have in their car this information in 3D of all buildings of Rotterdam. And for them, it's mainly, of course, about where are the fire walls, the firewalls, where are the staircases, where are the main gas entry, etc. for that building. Now that's already bringing me up to the advantages of why you should use an urban digital twin. Most of them, of course, I already mentioned to you. It gives meaning to that open urban platform, to that infrastructure node that we see, the open urban platform, and it gives a meaning. Why should you use this node? Now, we use a digital twin there. Of course, it gives visualization to current and historical states of data, and it offers that common and shareable image as a starting point for cooperation. Very interesting, I think it's one of the main reasons to do all this kind of stuff is that it also enhances the ecosystem way of thinking. And what do I mean by that? At this moment we see that all these kind of applications are what we call siloed. They are developed within their own silo. Take, for example, heat stress or whatever kind of thing. So the particular department is making its own calculation in its own silo, but they don't talk to the silo of the neighbor. And when you use this kind of infrastructure and you use this kind of digital twin principle, then you can connect those different applications. To give you an example, in Rotterdam we have a very nice water model that really shows you if a particular dike breaks through, how fast the water flows into the city, how high, and etc. All those kind of things. The model is very nice. And on the other end, we have a traffic model. That really says all about the capacity of a road and how fast you can drive there and how many cars and etc. But what this time is very difficult, and I'm personally very interested in, is what is the capacity of that road where a certain dike breaks through? Or how do we make it possible that those models are going to communicate to each other? Now, and that's where the open urban platform with the digital twin concept comes in. When they all use the same underlying digital twin, then they can give their results back to the digital twin, to the open urban platform, where it can be taken up by another application to make his calculation there. So that makes really what we believe an ecosystem way of thinking. Also very important is that it stimulates the way of the use of generic data and scalable data, maintainable data. Because at this moment we also see that a lot of developments of this kind, nice applications, etc., never leave the pilot phase. And why is that? Because in most cases, in the pilot phase, you can scramble some data to the left and to the right all together and mix it up and have some nice pilot results. But that's completely something else than using that tool for the whole of the city, not just that small pilot spot, but the whole city. And especially if you want to do the year after it again, then you have a big problem. And most of the time is that due to the data that such tools are needing. So the data is not organized. And because I don't know what's the case in Tallinna, but in Rotterdam, a lot of my colleagues still use Excel to put their data in and make nice tables, etc. But that are quite disastrous data sources and ask a lot of maintenance and etc. to keep your data actual, etc. So it's very important to think about what are generic, scalable and maintainable data sources that we can use. And not every data source is a good data source. And very important, those data need to be in open standards. At this moment we see too much that we are still software driven, as we call it, instead of data driven. That means that first we buy our software and then the software is determining which kind of data that we can use. I've earlier heard already also shape data, Esri. Esri is of course a very good company, makes very beautiful tools, but the data structure is closed. And if you want to use those data in another application, that's not possible because then you need Esri software to read that data. So we really should think about what is good open data sources. And they need to be fair. Fair stands for findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. So there's a lot to say about what kind of data sources are good data sources, but it's very important to think about that. It's also a consistent user experience, of course, when you build up an ecosystem through that open urban platform and a digital twin, you get some kind of uniformity in what you're offering. And of course, it use what I already showed you, it offers new possibilities for participation. And we really also believe that this platform offers possibilities for all kind of small companies in Rotterdam to build up new economic chances, build up tools, whatever kind of stuff that they can offer to that digital ecosystem. And that brings me already to my last sheet, and seeing the time, that's quite good. If you want to know more about what we are telling you about the digital city and all the aspects that we have faced there, we have what we call the Dutch Societal Innovation Hub. It's one of the EDIs, I don't know if you're familiar with that, the European Digital Information Hubs. Across Europe there are a number of EDIs organized, and the Dutch Societal Innovation Hub is one of those EDIs. And it's mainly, its main aim is to exchange knowledge with each other. So we use the Dutch Societal Innovation Hub really to bring all the lessons learned as Rotterdam to the Dutch Societal Innovation Hub, and others also are doing it, and they are distributing that again to everybody who is interested in that. So I would say if you want to know more about this, then you can or talk to me, but you can also contact the Dutch Societal Innovation Hub for more information or events or other kind of stuff. And that's where I want to leave it for today. Thank you.